There are some techniques that are used mostly in prisoners that has the objectives to make the people to keep some information that they do not want to reveal, such as the extortionist or maybe the means that they make to them if they say something. But there exists another method that is used not very much, and it is the mind control, also known as brainwash. This can be produced by many causes. For example, there is a medical case that is that somebody in an accident hit his head in a very strong rock or material, and this caused some contusions in the brain that makes some parts of the brain, but very little, to lose the neurons or get damaged, and this caused the loss of the memories. The other one is the one that is produced intentionally by somebody to other person, and that is what is going to talk about in this video. On the other hand, in USA there has been a lot of practices of this psychological activity. Charles Manson was an American born in 1939 in Ohio. He born during the economic recession and was not a wanted child. His mom had 16 years when she gave birth to him, and his dad abandoned him. Manson was arrested 2 times before elaborating the brainwash. During his time in jail, he was recognized by playing music in the cell and for being someone who was pleasant to other people such as prisoners and guards. After that, when he came out of prison for the second time, he became friends with a group of middle-class hippies that started to see him as a mentor or even as a messiah. Besides, he convinced them to live in an abandoned village with him and not to think, to act like animals. Then he made them think that they will save the world if they kill a quantity of people, think that with a work of months the hippies accept, with no doubt. Finally, he got arrested in 1969 and was condemned to death. So we can say that the level of evilness of Charles Manson was the biggest one because he obligated the other to do the evil things.
Tell me in a sentence who you are. Nobody. I'm nobody. I'm a tramp, a bum, a hobo. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine. And a straight racer if you get too close to me. I don't want to take my time going to work. I got a motorcycle and a sleeping bag and 10 or 15 girls. What the hell I want to go off and go to work for? Work for what? Money? I got all the money in the world. I'm the king, man. I run the underworld, guy. I decide who does what and where they do it at. What am I going to run around and act like I'm some teeny bopper somewhere for somebody else's money? I make the money, man. I roll the nickels. The game is mine. I deal the cards.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
There was a new type of LCD that the CIA had created just for the use of these experiments. It was called the Orange Sunshine. There were some murders called the Tate LaBianca that were performed by Manson family because he used his mind control abilities to control them. In the program that the CIA had created, there was introduced these LCDs. So when they provide Manson with them, he first used it in their family because they were the ones that had already used to kill people, and it had worked because they drugged them to make it. The story is very interesting. First, Manson starts saying that he had talked with some spirits that say him what to do, so he starts proclaiming some kind of apocalyptic vision to his family. So he starts drugging them to make more convincible the story. According to Tex, one of Manson's family members, when he tried this new type of drug, the Orange Sunshine, was when he realized that the theory that Manson proclaimed has some kind of truth in it. Texts say something about how it was that he controlled their minds. He did use drugs to manipulate and control us, and the more drugs we took, the easier it was for him to manipulate us with his philosophy. We all began to reflect his views, a mirror image of destruction, growing worse every day. We mirrored his lifestyle and attitude towards society. By these ways, he killed everyone that has the spirit said to him, and he became one of the worst mind controllers of all time. There had been many cases of mind control, such as the one, for example, that is very common used by the bad guys here in Colombia, and it's called the Burundanga. There is a very famous case and a very sad one in Tunja, Boyacá, and it's called the case of Jefferson Libardo Ramirez. One day at his work at a factory that produced oxygen for some people that needed all the time to breathe better, he was paid by his chief. In the trip back to his house in Tunja, he met a guy in the bus, so they start talking with him about a job, and he said that they just had paid him and it was his worst error, because he was a bad guy. So he made a call to a supposed friend and he told him if they want to go for a beer that night. So, because Jefferson Libardo was okay with the bad guy, he accepted. So, when they arrive to Tunja, they go to a bar and they ask for some beers. And after a few ones, they add burundanga or scopolamine to his beer. After this, they ask him to give all the money and go to his house and bring them all money or value things that they had. So, because he was with the effect of the scopolamine, he go to his house and bring them what they asked. Also, they make them to give his mother car, and then he just go like if nothing has happened. He was taken to a hospital and he get better with the time. In conclusion, we can analyze how these people can do these kind of things without getting much. That just remind us in what kind of conditions we are living and how dangerous can be somebody with some resources and some bad ideas.